Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to episode 38 of A Wild Podcast Has Appeared, your official Pokemon podcast of Comicbook.com. I am your host, Jim Viscardi, and as always, I am joined by Megan Peters and Christian Hoffer. Welcome back to another thrilling week of Pokemon discussion.
Yes,
I
am
like
here.
This week is less thrilling and more angry.
Less thrilling. Okay.
I'm giving you a preview, everyone.
There's a lot of people angry about that. If you're new to this show, we talk about a lot of Pokemon things. We talk about the games, we talk about the anime, the manga, everything in between. If it's got a giant Pokemon logo slapped on it, chances are we're talking about it. Show's broken up into 3 parts. We do a quick news section up front where we talk about just a few headlines that have come across over the week, and then we do a big deep dive in the second half. And then Christian gives us the Pokemon fact of the week, which is everyone's favorite segment.
And we're back to doing the weird ones. We got a weird one.
Heck yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah. That doesn't keep you listening. Nothing will.
There's a lot of stuff to talk about today. A lot of Pokemon Go news. There is obviously the announcement of Pokemon Home. Not the announcement of it, but we know when we're finally getting it. And boy, oh boy, do we have things to talk about with that one. And we'll get to it a bit later, but you will have no idea. It's going to blow your minds when you realize the Pokemon that Ash caught in the anime. Nobody saw this one coming.
I know. We're all very proud of our small son.
It's a big deal. Let's start with Pokemon Go because there's a lot more there. Pokemon Go announced Battle League is coming to the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Which I feel like is a much needed, wanted, desired thing from the community.
Well, I'll be 100% honest. I was pretty pumped when they initially announced oh yeah, you can do Pokemon battles. And then the actual system was announced where it was yeah, you have to be close by to anyone you want to battle with. And it's okay, well, this is something I'll never use.
What?
So the new system is the online functionality that we've all been begging for. It features ranked online match battles. In order to unlock them, you have to walk 5 kilometers in order to unlock a set of 5 battles, and you can do that up to 3 times a day. And there will be seasons. You'll get exclusive encounters. It seems like a really cool feature, all in all.
And makes you work for it, too, which I think is pretty cool.
Yes.
Pokemon Go is still over here trying to get us walking around.
Yep.
I mean, it's in the name. It's in the name. I can't fault them for it.
They're keeping up with their noble quest of getting people moving. Much to, us lazy bums' dismay.
Yeah. I'm just excited to go to the park.
Is it live now?
And they started the rollout and almost immediately were we've got issues. Let's hold up. So I don't think too many people got
feature launch. I'm surprised.
No, yeah. I know.
I mean, I'm mainly just excited to go to the park and because there's the Centennial Park in Tennessee, Nashville that would go to. It's huge. There's gyms everywhere. I'm just excited.
It's basically the wild area.
Yeah, I'm just excited to go walk around the track and follow groups of people that I know are trying to get the 5 kilometers. They walk 5 kilometers and they all stop to battle, and then they walk another 5 kilometers, stop, battle, just so they get in their walks for the day. It'll happen. I've seen weirder stuff down there.
Yeah, and I like the idea of that you can be we'll finally have a definitive answer of who is the best Pokemon trainer in the world in Pokemon Go. I'm curious to see if this will get somehow wrapped into the Pokemon World Championships. There's a lot of exciting stuff that could happen here. I'm interested to see how much of it they actually do, but interesting times.
Yeah, really interesting platform and update and utility. Not so faithful in the rollout and execution.
They'll figure it out.
Inevitably, they always do.
They'll get it in about. I'll talk to you next year about it.
Nice. My favorite piece of Pokemon Go news today is the fact that Pikachu Libre is coming to the game because I love Pikachu in a wrestling mask.
It's literally the best part of Pokken Tournament.
Yeah. In order to get Pikachu Libre, you will need to participate in the Battle League. It is an encounter that you can only get after you compete in the Battle League somehow. They haven't exactly explained it. Also, to tie in, you can now get a Pikachu Libre mask and a Pikachu Libre outfit. I'm very excited about this. I have a deep love of Pikachu Libre, as evidenced by she's sitting right there. Yeah. Yep, right next to Cthulhu. So yeah, Pikachu Libre, 3 foot tall statue of Cthulhu. About the same.
It all works out together. I'm so excited. Literally, the only reason at first when they announced Pokken Tournament, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Then they were like, Pikachu Libre. And I was like, all right, getting in line, pre-ordering it right now. That's literally the only thing you had to tell me. So now that I saw, like, they announced, like, the avatar, and I didn't see it was actually, like, Pikachu Libre, but I saw, like, the outfits. And I was like, yes. And then I realized Pikachu was also coming. And
I wish they
now
did
my
more
life's
with Pokken Tournament.
Pokken Tournament is still one of my most, like, upset points about the Pokemon franchise and, like, competitive gaming that I can't really talk about without getting just furious. Because I love Pokken Tournament so much.
My big issue with Pokken Tournament was that they didn't support it on the Wii U, basically, at all. And so, while the Pokken Tournament DX, I think it was called, like the revamped version where they added all the DLC characters and, one new Pokemon was pretty cool. I was still kind of like, had this just gotten a little bit more support, we might have actually seen this game take off.
Yeah.
Because, the mechanics were great. It had, a lot of really interesting play styles. I love the fact that they used, like, non-traditional Pokemon, like Chandelure. That was just genius.
Yeah.
Just freaking genius. And, I feel like it would have been a game that people would have, because it has a very dedicated fan base.
It does.
A lot of, like, hardcore fighting games fans love it. Like, was more popular than, like, a lot of other similar fighting games that when it came out that same year. But it just kind of withered and died due to a lack of new content, and it just didn't really get that support.
Yeah, it just died. And that is why I'm
or even
forever
just give me,
angry.
like, a sequel, right? Like, that's totally fine, too.
I think it'll happen. I think that there is, especially with how Game Freak seems to have shifted their strategy in Pokemon game releases, I think there will be more of an emphasis on trying to get more spin-off games out there to keep that Pokemon brand going during the off years. Which means Pokken Tournament too.
Well, they're going to have to try harder with Pokken Tournament because I'm so jaded and burnt by how they just messed up the rollout
Megan,
of
the minute like Pokken Tournament shows up in a Pokemon Direct, you will immediately lose all of your bad feelings and be like, yes, give it to me.
I
now.
will. It's going to be the immediate, like, instant gratification, and then I'm going to think about it for 20 minutes, and I'm going to say, I'm so mad. You've just abandoned everything that you stood for. But anyways, we'll get to that point when it's
well, like I said, all they need to do is actually support the game, and then it'll be fine.
Yeah, no. But they just didn't do that one fundamental thing.
To be fair, it also came out.
They did do it for the arcade games.
Okay, well, I'm not.
But, like, to be fair, it also came out at a really weird time.
It did. I will.
Like, system life cycle wise, right? Like,
Yeah,
it was
that was very unfortunate.
basically the last good game for the Wii U or whatever, and
Yeah.
Poor Wii U.
it was still too early, Switch wise, and
It was just ahead of its time, the Wii U.
That's true. So
it was so ugly though.
it was.
So ugly.
No, ugly things have a place in this world too, Joe.
All right, last bit of Pokemon Go news is, players get to vote for the next Community Day.
This is actually the weird Pokemon Go story of the week. Every week has a weird Pokemon Go story, but so this month I think they've officially jumped the shark on Community Day. We've had this going on. This has been an event that's been going on for 2 years, and I think they want to kind of like slow it down just a bit because like this year they will run out of like starter Pokemon to throw in. They seem to have not want to like make certain Pokemon available in the wild for whatever reason, like freaking Gible and like Ryulu and like Lucario and stuff like that, which drives me up a freaking wall. But so they've really slowed down the releases of those. So instead, you will get to vote on your next Community Day Pokemon. So this weekend, February 1st, you can vote between 4 Pokemon. There's Vulpix, there is Machop, there is Rhyhorn, and there is Dratini again. So this would be Dratini's second Pokemon Community Day. And you can vote by completing field research tasks that are tied to one of those 4 Pokemon. So the research task is always the same. Catch 10 Pokemon. Excuse me. I am fighting a bug. And I'm dying.
Well,
Dying.
everyone who's listening to
Dead.
this is now listening to Christian
My
Hoffer's
death rattles.
death.
Excuse me. I need to grab some water here.
This is the kneeling sounds of a Pokemon journalist.
All right, Meg, who do you think will win?
I don't want any of them to win because as soon as he listed them, I just fell asleep. So while Hopper's dying, it's because he sent me the plague of these boring choices. I mean, if I had to pick, I'm always going to pick Vulpix just because I have like personal attachment to Vulpix. Mm-hmm. I don't care about Rhyhorn. I have caught roughly 7,000 Rhyhorn. Dratini, it wasn't that long ago that we had Dratini. I
mean, it was 2 years ago.
Well,
I mean, so you know, define like recently. You know,
I don't know. Maybe it's because I feel like I caught a lot of Dratini recently, or like hatched him and stuff. But I mean, Dratini would be nice, but I don't know. I feel like Dratini's gonna win.
The hardcore fan base really wants Rhyhorn because the exclusive move that comes. So they pre-announced what the Community Day moves would be, and Rhyhorn would get a new like exclusive Rock type move. And Rock type is a great move type to have in Pokemon Go. Super effective against a lot of legendaries and all that stuff. So like the hardcore fans really want Rhyhorn, but there's very much a big disconnect between like the casual fans and the hardcore fans. So there's no guarantee.
So we're getting Vulpix, basically.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be Vulpix or Dratini, and I think that we will then see the Pokemon Go hardcore fan base revolt once again.
Yeah.
Which would be like the 10th time this year.
Yeah. I'd be surprised I would be very surprised if Rhyhorn did win based on casual players like myself. I'm not into the whole IV stats and like figuring out exclusive moves. My philosophy on Pokemon Go is it cute? I'll catch it.
But with the introduction of the Battle League, this stuff matters a little bit more now. So,
this is true. I will be curious to see how the Battle League influences casual gamers in introducing them more to like thinking strategically and competitively with, I need this if I want to like enhance, my momentum with the league. I'll be curious to see if that happens at all, and if so, to what degree.
I don't think it will. My bold prediction is no.
I don't know. I'd be interested. I guess we'll have to wait and see whenever Niantic gets this going in a year from now.
All right, moving along to the Pokemon World Championships. We finally have a date.
I mean, we knew what the dates were. I actually got into like a scuffle with our gaming editor when this news came out. The World Championships are always held the same weekend every year. It's the weekend of my anniversary, which is why I never go to the World Championships, because it's always the weekend of my anniversary. So I was already on basically everyone's calendars, but it was officially announced it will be August 14th through the 17th, and it will be held at the XL Center in London, which we already knew. The XL Center is like the only really new bit of information.
Right.
But you will be allowed, this year they will actually have spectator tickets, which is nice. They've kind of shut those down in recent years due to space constraints, and that won't be an issue this year. So yeah, that's nice.
Cool. It'll be like a proper Galarian gym battle.
Oh yeah, that's really great timing. If they don't have
dress up as like Team Yell Grunts.
If they don't have that's an amazing idea. I didn't even think that. And two, if they don't have a petting zoo of sheep that are like cosplaying as Wooloo, they've missed an opportunity.
I really just want to do the Dynamax chant just over and over and over again.
Oh yeah, that is pretty.
All I really want.
I feel like there's going to wind up being like some sort of like game-wide like cosplay event at this thing, and everyone's gonna be like, "Are we in London still, or are we just like seriously like moved?" I don't know. That's pretty cool. I'd be interested. Plus, they're gonna have some sweet like exclusive like
I can only
merchandise.
merch that
I mean, the Nashville Worlds had Rhinestone Cowboy Pikachu, which is still arguably the greatest mascot we've gotten from Worlds. But I'm curious to see what London is, because when London opened that like temporary Pokemon Center, they had like Winston Churchill Pikachu with the top hat and the mustache and stuff. So I'm curious what that'll look like. I'm just here for the cute merchandise, guys.
Yeah, so, I mean, the merchandise is always second to none. I mean, it's always like it's. I really wish they would do it more for like the national tournaments. You know, like I would love to get some Columbus, Ohio exclusive merchandise, because that's where the North American tournaments seem to always be at. But that will never happen.
So what are the chances that the merchandise is actually Pikachu cosplaying as the champion Leon?
I really hope that's not the case.
Triggered Hopper. And now it's not.
I see what you did there,
Don't put that evil out.
I threw a grenade in the room and then I just backed out.
Why? Why would you even say something like that? That is just disgusting and wrong. And also, no one would buy that. People would buy it because people are saps, but no one would be happy about buying it. They'd be grumbling.
Leon would be their local hero.
Yeah. You're just disparaging an entire community, honestly.
There's no Leon community.
Apologies to all of our UK listeners.
Yeah. I apologize on Megan's behalf for putting out such terribleness into the world.
All right.
Ugh.
All right. Let's talk about Ash's latest catch, which is a pretty big deal.
Ash Ketchum is just balling right now in the anime. Like, he has been the perpetual butt of every joke in the anime since it began. I mean, it's decades in the making. And then this new series comes out, and he's like, "Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go to the Battle Frontier, but I'm gonna take Mr. Mime, and he's gonna wreck all of you." And then today, in this most recent episode, he's like, "You know what? I just feel like catching a Dragonite." And he did. He catches like a pseudo legendary Pokemon, and like it's like the most insane moment.
Yeah, it's well, I there was somebody like pointed out, it's like on Twitter I saw something. It was like, here are the first Pokemon that Ash has caught in each series, and it's like, oh, it's a Caterpie. Oh, it's like a Hoot. Oh, it's Tailo. Oh, it's Rowlet. Oh, it's a I can't say that word. It's a Dragonite. And it's like like. Ever since he became champion, he is just like now just like casual. Like there are words that I would use to describe Ash, but I can't because we would lose would lose our family friendly rating. But let's just say that Ash is he's got some big kahunas.
Like it's so impressive. Like, so basically, if you haven't like heard of what's happened in the latest episode of Pokemon the series, basically Ash and Go, they wind up on this island full of Dratini and Dragonair and Dragonite. They have a hilarious conversation looking at the three Pokemon, and they go, "How did Dragonite come from you guys?" They're like, "Wouldn't Milotic be better?" I don't understand. Like, it's such a meta question, because so many people are like, what? But then he winds up...
It's a fair question.
It is a fair question.
It
It raised some really good questions. But then in the series, like, there's this Dragonite, and it's like kind of like scared to fly and stuff. And Ash is like, "You know what? I got this. We're going to train you. It's going to be fine." And then it's like this like hilariously whimsical training montage of like Ash and this Dragonite. And he winds up catching the Dragonite. Like, he gets it in the Pokeball. Dragonite went in the Pokeball. Like, that doesn't happen. This is like a pseudo legendary Pokemon.
That barely happened when I first played through Blue.
Yeah, like he just casually went doop boop boop, done. He caught it.
I mean, we always knew that Ash was a better Pokemon trainer than Jim Viscardi, but this episode officially makes it real.
But it's just interesting to see how everyone's freaking out about one Dragonite, and some fans are upset that like all the Pokemon that he's been working with currently are Gen 1 Pokemon. But honestly, we're going this series. This is a new series that allows us that nostalgia. We haven't been able to have this, so like let us revel in it a little bit.
It's been a while since
and
we really got to play with Gen 1 stuff.
I know, which is great, because in the next episode, we've already gotten some promo images. Lance is coming back with his red Gyarados.
And Ash is just going to like wreck Lance, like, hey, Lance, hey, buddy, hey, you see this? I got a Dragonite too. Let me go and beat up your red Gyarados. Hey, remember me? Remember me? Remember how I couldn't get like a gym badge on my own for like half of my first journey to Kanto? Yeah. Like, you know.
Behold.
I can't even look at this.
I'm so excited to see that because in the original anime with Ash and Lance, like it was very much like Ash was like, oh, you are who I want to be. And Lance was like, you are a fly on my shoe. He was like, I couldn't care less about you. And now Ash gets to have this reunion and be like, I just caught a Dragonite.
What now, Lance?
I am the champion of the Alola region. I am all of this like stuff combined. And I'm just curious to see if the anime will nerf Ash again because so far they have
too
just
late.
lifted
They can't.
It's too late.
It's too late. So I'm curious
Like
to see
Ash-
how this is going to turn out.
So this is
Something's well, go ahead, Christian. I'll let you go first.
I was going to say, like, you know, here's the thing that has really struck me. It's like we have Go, who's catching all these like low level, like, you know, not even battling. He's basically the dude who's just spamming Pokeballs and catching whatever junk he can catch to that. And meanwhile, Ash is like, oh no, these are beneath me. I catch pseudo legendaries or above. Like by the end of the series, Ash is going to be like riding in on like a wave of just all powerhouses, all legendary Pokemon, all pseudo legendaries. He'll probably have like a shiny Mewtwo or something.
Yeah. Like,
You know,
I feel
that's
like,
what that's like, you know, the trajectory we're on.
like I feel like he's going to steal the red Gyarados from Lance.
Or on the flip side, like something tragic is going to happen.
Oh God.
And like we're either going to lose the Dragonite or the Dragonite's going to have to fly away. It's going to be bye-bye Butterfree all over again. One of these.
Oh no. Oh, instead of bye-bye Butterfree, it's going to be dead Dragonite.
Oh my god. What the hell?
You're welcome. Hey, Jim Viscardi brought it up. Let's not even pretend like I'm the one who came up with this idea.
Oh,
He
my
started
God.
it by saying it's going to get dark and tragic.
So I would just like to say that my headcanon for Ash's like meteoric rise out of mediocrity has been that once he finally got some like quality like father-son bonding time. So, you know, he had Professor Kukui, who's like the first like adult man to ever show like an interest in Ash, like beyond like, yes, Ash, you're going to be my research assistant. Go off into the wild. You know, he finally gets that like nurturing that he needs, and voila, suddenly he is champion. And now his stepfather is like, oh God, I've been neglecting him all the time.
He's along
Only he's
for the
saying that in
ride.
Pokemon, you know, because he's a Mr. Mime. And so like him and Ash, and so now he's being lifted up even higher. He's
Yeah.
finally getting the parental direction he needs, and boom.
Yeah.
He's like champion of the world now.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. We got Red Gyarados coming. He caught a Dragonite. Gengar's in the next episode. It's going to be amazing. I'm
Ash's
so
gonna get a
excited.
Gengar, and I'm gonna love it.
Oh man, this is everything I've wanted in the anime for a long time, and it's happening, and it's just the greatest moment. So, very excited.
So the trading card game can be hard for people who are just getting into it.
Accurate.
Parents especially. Older parents.
Oh well, yes, I can understand.
So a mom has gone viral for trying to learn the trading card game.
I mean, she did learn the Pokemon trading card game, which therefore invalidates everything you just said
No.
there. She picked it up while not understanding any of the names of it. She was like, so this post went viral. And it's like this mom went to a pre-release tournament last weekend. They kind of showed her how to play the game, and then she dominated in the tournament. All the while, not even being able to like say the Pokemon's name, just like wrecking them. Like, oh yeah, here's my Rikkizi. I do like 120 damage to you. Is that right? And it's like just murdered. Like apparently she did really well in this pre-release tournament. Got into the game. It was a good opportunity for them to bond with their child, and everyone's talking about it, and it's adorable.
Yeah.
This is adorable, but there is like a 2% part of me that really wants her to have just been like sharking everyone. I want her to have been
Like she just goes
Yeah.
from town to town, being
Yeah,
like,
I want her to like
just bringing a kid along who has zero interest in
You mean the
Pokemon.
Jim Viscardi method?
Yeah.
Method
Yeah,
of,
basically. I want her to have listened to this podcast, have heard what Jim did in his past juvenile years, and then I want her to have been like practicing on the side, hustling, and like all his Toys R Us's are gone now, but wherever they go to like Target or something, been like hustling, playing Pokemon, then shows up, texts their but do you know what this Pokemon is? I don't know. Like, that's what I secretly want. But like, this is so cool. Like, I love this.
Is this Pokemon with a sword in the mouth any good? 'Cause I'm going to play it and then kill your Pokemon.
Yeah. Like, for me, as like my mom tolerates my Pokemon love. She always makes fun of me. Like, I'm wearing Eevee socks currently. When I got like these like Pokemon socks, she was like, is those your Pokemans? And I was like, oh, that's not the correct plural. But like, I guess for like you two have kids. Like, these kids are gonna be great growing up.
I mean, my child does currently wear a Pikachu hat wherever he goes. So,
I mean,
yeah, no,
Pokeboy.
I mean, like here's the thing. So I've had way too many conversations about the Pokemon trading card game and whether or not it's hard or easy to understand. And like, my stance has always been the game is not that difficult to pick up.
No.
Like, if you spend like an afternoon with the rules, go and play through a few games with like your kids, you can learn it. I've had this conversation so many times, usually at the card wall at Target with like parents like staring at like what choices they have. And it's really not a hard game. And it's like, I really feel like if your kids take an interest in something like the Pokemon trading card game, you should join in. Like, one of my biggest regrets, I loved the Pokemon trading card game as a kid, and I had no one to play it with. Like, no one to play it with. Like, the only time I actually got to play the Pokemon trading card game was the video game. Okay. And like, and that's like really disappointing. And like the Pokemon trading card game, like, yeah, if you don't know a lot about Pokemon, it can be a little bit weird and it can be a little bit like silly, but your kids love it. And like, how often do you get an opportunity to really engage with your kids' interests like that? And like, actually have a hobby that you can bond with. Like, this is good parenting. Now, in this case, like, this mom is doing this with her adult daughter. I think it's like her adult child, but I think, it's a good, it's a very good example. Yeah. Like, I think more
the hardest thing
like that
to me is like, is the deck building aspect of it.
Yeah.
But outside of that, like the mechanics of it, like you said, a game or two in and they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I kind of get it. But it's, if you don't have, fortunately, like there are, you can buy the deck starters.
Yeah, you can buy the pre-made decks. I mean, that's what I do a lot with when my nephew was first getting into the game, I would just get a bunch of the pre-built decks. And I was like, okay, pick one. And so we would each pick one. And like I said, it's just good parenting. There is a very low bar to entry for these games.
Yep.
I mean, like, you can just buy a pre-built deck for like what, $15. Boom, you have a deck that you can play with.
Yeah.
You want to get better, like even so, like it's not that expensive. It is a hobby that both you and your child will appreciate, and you don't look at like the other stuff. Like if your kid plays a sport, how you interact with that. You take them to the games, you watch the games, you support them. If you're you might coach them for the game, and if you're not a great parent, you are one of those like psycho parents who are like screaming at the refs. There's no room for that like toxic parenting in Pokemon trading card games. It's great. Like,
it's just not there. Because like for me, like my mom had no interest in playing Pokemon trading card game with me or my brother, but she did have access to a car, and there was a Toys R Us down the street. So whenever they would have their like, they had weekly tournaments, I think 2 or 3 times a week, and she would take us there. And she would be like, I don't know what you're doing. I'm going to go look. Bye. like that was great. So like, I very much side with Hoffer here on that discussion. So it's pretty great. It is a low entry bar.
It is.
And this is a good segue for me. Speaking of low entry bars into Pokemon hobbies, we got some of the Pokepla into the office.
So jealous.
We built them.
They're great.
They're awesome.
They're fantastic.
I've been hiding Pikachu in my cloak. I've been hiding Pikachu in my cloak.
For those watching the video feed.
Yes, this is my Pokepla Pikachu.
Yeah,
it's adorable.
Pretty cute.
Yeah, it's bigger than I thought it was. First of all, to mention. So we just
these are definitely not to scale. because
Yes, no.
we also got the Eevee and the Mewtwo one, and the Eevee is bigger than Mewtwo.
Yes.
And
I mean, Mewtwo is a little tiny.
Where my 4-year-old is like, Daddy, that's not right. And I'm like, use your imagination, kid.
Just you use it. This is an activity.
These are
for you.
models. They're
Yes.
not supposed to be to scale.
Yes. So for any of you, we discussed these Pokepla in a past episode. Basically, these are official. So we've discussed model building kits, figures, kind of based on the Gundams. They're now Pokemon versions. So these are basically kind of like pieces of plastic that you snap out of a grid, and
You don't need clippers for these.
Yeah.
Even though I was non-clipper shamed the last time we brought these up.
Yeah, so you can basically
you
pop them
100%.
out, or you can, like Hoffer says, you can clip them out with bolt cutters. This one doesn't require any glue. You just snap them together. I think this took me like 5 minutes to build. It was really quick. But yeah, this is just like super cute. Its ears move when you turn Pikachu's head.
Pretty cute.
The tail is movable. You can like make them wave at you and stuff. The price points for these are super affordable. They're all less than $15 or $20. So you can pre-order them now, but absolutely recommend it if you're new to the Gunpla thing and you've looked at like people building Gunpla kits or even Transformers ones that they have now.
Because now I want to do them all the time.
awesome.
Yeah, there's Dragon Ball version ones also. I mean, there's tons of these kits that you can get, and you look at them and it says 500 pieces, glue required, paint, and you're just like, I'm out. I don't want to do this anymore. But now this is a very cheap way. It's under $20. Stickers are probably the hardest part you got to do.
Yep.
I kind of messed up the sticker on his nose, so we're just not going to look at that. But yeah, these are super great. I just wanted to kind of show them to everyone. These are 900% something I would recommend that you could do with your kid. As
like I said, like my kid's almost, she's 4.5 now, and she did, I would say maybe 75% of the Eevee one.
Yeah.
There were a few little, like some of the mechanic parts that I had to help her out with, but instructions are easy to read. She did most of it herself. I did the stickers for her, and like I said, some of the other parts. But outside of that, like it was great. And now she's addicted to them. I'm addicted to them. I wish there were more now.
Yeah. Or you could be like me and do them with your 25-year-old boyfriend. There's really no age limit here, to be honest. But yeah, just want to let everyone know we got the Pokepla, and it was as amazing as we had hoped.
Lastly, on the trading card front, the Sword and Shield set is set to hit stores next week. Megan and I unboxed a brick of booster packs yesterday, so you can check on our Facebook page or on YouTube to check that video out. And we got some pretty sweet pulls.
Yeah, we got.
I was shocked.
We got several V Maxes, several V cards.
So this is the new set that introduces the V Max cards, the V cards, the new holofoil sort of designs. Galarian Pokemon are all mixed into this naturally, and of course, if you want to get your hands on some of these early, this weekend are the pre-release tournaments for you to get your hands on some of those. But all in all, I'm excited for the Sword and Shield wave of the trading card game. I think a lot of the cards that we saw looked cool. Some of the mechanics look really cool.
Yeah, the artwork looked great.
The artwork is great.
Yes.
So definitely check those out.
Would recommend.
All right. When we get back, we are going to go through Pokemon Home and all of its perceived problems. Because they're not really real problems.
Oh my God.
Why are you? All right.
I love when we cut off. Offer was just immediately ready to fight.
Jim, we've got to have a talk here. Stop feeding the trolls. Jeez, you already got in trouble with this once this week. Stop. God, you're just giving them air.
Okay. So Pokemon Home is announced, and really the only thing that people have a problem, or at least I saw, is the price.
Yeah, then
the only thing I've seen.
Okay.
Hoffer, break it down.
Break it down.
Okay, so Pokemon Home was announced. It comes out in February. There's 2 plans. One is the basic free plan. You get 30. You can hold up to 30 Pokemon, which is kind of a joke. You can do a limited amount of trades. Basically the GTS system, the global trade system, is coming back. And with a free plan, you can do, I believe it's, I forget how many. You can do more if you have this premium plan, and you can do a smaller amount. And same thing with the Wonder Box. You can participate in friend trades, so you can actually create like a friend room and do trades between your friends, and you can participate if you have the free plan, but you can set one up if you get the paid plan. So the paid plan, you get access to 6,000 Pokemon spaces. You can transfer Pokemon
It's a little
from
bit
your
more than
Pokemon.
30.
Yeah, you can transfer Pokemon from the Pokemon Bank system to Pokemon Home. You can do up to 10 Pokemon through the Miracle Box, which are basically Wonder Trades at a time. You can put 3 Pokemon in the global trade system, and it comes with an IV checker.
Oh.
The premium plan costs $16 a year. $16 for a year.
Yeah.
And because people will find anything to complain about.
That breaks down to about $1.33 a month.
Yes. And so, like, you know, the issue, I think, here's where I'll dial back and say, here's what I think the complainers are coming from. It's not as much the price. It's more that this follows the announcement of a $30 DLC. With Pokemon Sword and Shield, in order to participate in any of the online stuff, which previously was free, you now have to pay $20 a year. So, in order to get the full Pokemon gaming experience, you now have to pay $90 for the game, $20 a year for the internet access, and $16 a year for the Pokemon Home subscription. That's still, in the grand scheme of things, not a huge cost, but it is a cost.
Sure.
You know, that's where I think people
Nintendo
are
Online, though, the Nintendo Online part of it, I don't buy as a Pokemon only expense, right? Like if you have a Switch, you are not only playing Pokemon for its online capabilities.
Yeah, and like there's people are like picking and choosing. Like I saw people like throwing in like the Pokemon Bank subscription of $5 per year as like a cost that gets added into it. And it's like, no, because everyone's going to cancel Pokemon Bank as soon as you did. Like I would be more upset about this if not for the fact that Pokemon Bank, which is a much more dialed down version of Pokemon Home, was like a free service. Oh, and by the way, for the month after this comes out, everyone gets Pokemon Bank for free for a month, so that everyone, if you get the Pokemon Home, you can go and move all your Pokemon from Pokemon XY, Pokemon Sun and Moon, Pokemon Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, and Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and older games like Pokemon Black and Pokemon White through the Poke Transporter, and you can move those all into Pokemon Home, which will act as a permanent home for your Pokemon. And like I think like, you know, $16 a year, like it's you know, this is a pretty cheap service in the grand scheme of things. Like maybe I'm just you know, I understand that, you know, they are tacking on costs. And I empathize with people who feel that they cannot afford that, and that's a luxury that they cannot afford. And I do understand that. However, this is still an optional service. You know, if you are that concerned about your Pokemon, you know, you can still pay that $5 a year to keep the Pokemon Bank active, and keep your older Pokemon alive. And, you know, there's nothing that says that, you know, Pokemon Sword and Shield, you can store those Pokemon. There's nothing that says that you need to have your older Pokemon in your newest games. And while I agree that, you know, it is a cost, it's a cost. Like, you know, that is, you know, really the Pokemon company is just catching up to what every other gaming company does, and it's still cheaper than what other gaming companies do.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's coming down to, again, the debate that we had months ago between what's optional and what should just come implicit with the cost of the game. And for a lot of the people who are complaining, are the same people who said we should just be able to have all the Pokemon in Sword and Shield from the get-go immediately without additional cost. And so they don't see the necessity of paying an optional $15, $16 cost a year to get what they feel should have been naturally included with the base game, period. So I feel like it's also primarily that fundamental disagreement of what should be optional versus what should be inherent in the game. And that's not something that can be fixed. That's the Pokemon Company's decision, and that's that. I mean, the cost, again, I can understand. Like, I only recently got the Pokemon Switch Online shtick because I didn't want to pay $20 a year. I have a very tight budget. Like, I can understand that for players. And I was like, all right, Christmas, someone get me gift cards. Give me gift cards so I can try this for a year. So I can understand that. But I also feel like if you're the kind of person who is determined or hell-bent one way or another to get all of your old Pokemon into Sword and Shield, or into your Pokemon home at the very minimum, then you're probably somebody who has a budget for Pokemon yearly.
Yeah.
And you could probably not get that Pokemon mug at GameStop or online or on Etsy, and instead get the Pokemon Bank system.
Right.
Yeah, this is the equivalent to like 4 packs of Pokemon cards.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
Or, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, even if you were to just collect, potential change that you get, like, it really, I mean, it really breaks down to just like a little more than $1 a month. And when you look at it that way, it's a much different, I think it is much different. But this is, I think, a necessary, and you gotta remember, like, this is not really a service that the Pokemon Company can probably provide for free for it to be sustainable.
Right.
So, the big question is like, home is a big thing that I think we as fans and players actually kind of need to go on this ride into the future with Game Freak and the Pokemon Company and whatever, to give them the capabilities and the resources to make what we love bigger and better. Like, look, there's going to be just flat out storage, and storage fees and things like that are going to have to come from, the Nintendo, or not Nintendo, but the Pokemon Company and what they're going to have to do there and operational stuff. And while, it may not seem like a lot, like, well, they're just, holding on to data. But, like, think of how many players are out there and how many, different Pokemon are going to be lodged into Pokemon Home. And so there's a lot at play there where, like, I get the price concerns, but at the same time, I believe that there is a bigger picture plan at play here with this.
Yeah, and like, I think that some of this is, just let's look at the alternative. Would people be more inclined if Pokemon Sword and Shield were like a $75 game, but this sort of functionality came included in it, would people be more inclined to pay for that? Is because how I look at it as in, this is very much not something that's needed to play the Pokemon games.
No, I'm not going to
like,
get it, I don't think.
I
I definitely won't, because I stopped playing long enough that, like, I don't have any Pokemon that I would care about bringing over, kind of thing. I would, like, if I'm as invested in future games like I am with Sword and Shield now, I can see myself potentially picking it up so I can, bring some of that stuff over. Even the Pokemon that I've got, because does this or does this not include Pokemon you catch in Pokemon Go?
It not initially, but it will eventually include support for it.
And so, like, I may have a few Pokemon in Pokemon Go that I would care about bringing over and bringing on with me, but for me, like, Sword and Shield was such a revitalization for me in the games that, like, do I want to bring my Colossal over with me to the next game if possible? Yeah, probably. But that's a bridge that is a bit far from me now. Like, and I get it. Like, I know that there are a ton of people who have, like, actual emotional attachments to the Pokemon that they play with in their games, right? Like, I still remember, like, I brought my original Blastoise as far along with me as I could when playing with that. And like, I wish I could have that Blastoise back. I can't, but whatever. But so I get it, right? Like, there's a lot of that. And so,
yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's up to us, the players, to figure out what we what is a nice to have versus a must have. And to me, all of this stuff is nice to have. Like the Pokemon company could just say, Pokemon Bank is it, and that's all you get. And then
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. It's I see a lot of these conversations. I see this a lot with D&D, where D&D, there's a lot of complaints about how the books are $50, for a book, and while at some level, like, yeah, that's a lot of money for a book, but on the flip side, look how much you're getting out of that.
Yeah.
I look at this the same way. It's like $16 a year. Like, if you are that emotionally, and like, frankly, I mean, I hate to say this, it's good business strategy from the Pokemon company.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you are so invested in your Pokemon that you feel, they've decided, like, well, we're going to put a cost on, how emotionally attached you are. I mean, I mean, just from the pragmatic sense, and I'm not going to say whether that's good or bad or right or wrong, but yeah, they kind of already did it with the Pokemon Bank. So
and that's the thing too. Like, everyone's like, well, why couldn't they just make the Pokemon Bank better? There's probably a point.
Pokemon Bank sucks.
But there's probably a point where, like, they have actual technical limitations with the framework that they've built with Bank, and so the only way to get around that is to build something new that gives them flexibility and far into the future. There's only so much that they could have done with Bank. Home is the next thing. It's in the same
like when you look at it, like, this looks like a service that's 3 times as better as Pokemon Bank. So that's like my thing's like, okay, I mean, and I'm pretty sure they looked at it. It's like when you go and take a look at everything Pokemon Bank Pokemon Home can do compared to what Pokemon Bank can do, and you're just like, oh, yep, nope. This is why this costs this much. It makes sense.
Yeah, and at the same time, like, I don't think any of us were expecting to get the Sword and Shield DLC in the period, right? Like, we expected a new full game maybe next year, and so for us to be getting that as soon as we are is crazy. And sure, yes, it's another $30 that the Pokemon's going to be able to get. Pokemon Company's going to be able to get from you this year. But the Pokemon games are evolving and they're changing, and I think, I would rather getting the DLC has me not knowing where the limit is for Sword and Shield. Right? Like what, at what point do they say, we have done all that we can with Sword and Shield, here is the next game? And, like, obviously next game would be a new region, new Pokemon, etc. But
or those Sinnoh remakes.
Now you're feeding the trolls, Hopper. Stop it.
But
no, I'm just giving people false hope. Yeah. There's a difference.
But that's the thing that gets me excited, right? Like, knowing that I'm going to be able to spend a bit more time in the Galar region and get these DLC, packs hopefully every so often, just has me just excited and invested in staying in the ecosystem that is what the Pokemon Company has created. Yeah. It's going to cost me, and I'm going to have to, make sure that I'm able to, budget accordingly. But that's my choice. Like, I want to continue doing this, and so,
And if it's too much, I mean, you do have the choice of stepping back.
If I gotta cut some comics from my pull list, that's fine. Pokemon's killing the comic book industry anyway.
Yeah. And also, Jim has crap
taste
in comics, so most of them could be afforded to get cut.
Wow.
So I said it
a little bit.
I said it.
I have great taste in comics.
You have the worst taste.
Wow, this is a different story for a different podcast. But I will say it's interesting. Like, for a game that's fundamentally about evolution, it's weird to see how evolution has become a bad word for some people. like I'm going full Hamilton here. It's strange to see that. Like, this game is all about making progressions and moving forward. And now they're trying to like literally find these ways of avenue. And the staunch diehards are saying, no, no, no. And I'm not even saying staunch diehards because we're staunch diehards in here, but we're saying go, go, go. It's just, there's always going to be an echo chamber online, discussions about what's good, what's right, what's bad, what's wrong. We're all going to have different opinions, but I think it does come down summarily to what's necessary for you to play the game and what's extra that you would personally like. And all the features that they've announced and that they're coming out with, they're just,
I mean, look,
they're add-ons.
A ton of people bought Sword and Shield. They couldn't bring their old Pokemon into the game yet. They played it just fine. They liked the game. Well, what are you missing? What are you missing?
I mean, I played the game just fine and loved it with my initial review without having the online service, without having Pokemon Home, without having any of the DLC. And I loved the game. And it was fine. And I greatly enjoyed it. It wasn't until December I got the online function and I realized what happened in the wild area when you had the online function. And now I love it even more. But that was an optional choice on my behalf. So it's going to be the same thing for Bank. I don't know if I'm going to go into it, though I have my X and Y and all of those Pokemon that I would like to bring over. You know, I don't know if that cost is weighing it out for me. And that's just going to come down to each person's individual understanding of necessity, desire, and money. That's why you're going to have so many conflicting opinions on this. So it's going to be a touchy subject, but all in all, I don't think it's a bad or unwarranted move by the Pokemon Company.
Right.
It was going to happen at some point.
And here we are.
So and it's here.
All right, Hoffer, let's go to the Pokemon fact of the week.
Okay, so we are to Jigglypuff, and
nice.
it is a weird one. So Jigglypuff is basically a giant balloon. We know this, but really it's more kind of like a bagpipe.
A furry bagpipe.
The reason why is because Jigglypuff inflates and then it lets out that air when it sings. Here's the thing. Jigglypuff does not inhale when it sings. This usually isn't a problem because it puts every Pokemon to sleep, but the Pokedex notes that it is in danger of suffocating when it faces an enemy that can't be put to sleep, and that it puts its own life in danger anytime that like a Pokemon is able to resist that sleeping ability, which is terrifying. So like this is a Pokemon that might kill itself in battle if it goes up against like a Loudred.
So this is one of two things must have happened. The researcher, a professor, must have tried to see how long a Jigglypuff could sing and noticed that the Jigglypuff was suffocating and had to stop it at one point. Or someone came across a dead Jigglypuff, performed an autopsy, and realized it suffocated itself.
God.
I have so very many. So does it like breathe through its skin?
No. It inhales.
It never mastered
right, and then
it never mastered like the art of breathing while singing. You know, that entire, you know, it's because it's one continuous song. It's doesn't have any like natural pauses, like, you know, and it hasn't like, you know, what is it, throat singing, which, you know, you can do continuously.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So they don't know how to do circular breathing, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Jigglypuff is a monster to humanity.
Poor Jigglypuff. What?
No, I can't circular breathe. I'm with you.
Can you imagine like when we get to like the like some like regional variant of Jigglypuff that does know how to breathe while singing and like what sort of like terror that they'll like unleash upon it? It's like this Jigglypuff doesn't like, you know, suffocate while singing, so you know it can just sing for days and days and days, and oh yeah, like no Pokemon can resist it, and its like ability is like guaranteed sleep or something like that.
Jeez. Opera singer Jigglypuff. That's what I'm looking forward to.
That was a good one. That's especially because I mean, who doesn't love Jigglypuff? Apparently Megan, who thinks Jigglypuff's a menace, but
monster to humanity. Get it right. The name's important.
If you like this show, if you liked everything that we talked about today, we've got plenty more for you to listen to if you want to check them out. So funny, I had to go pull some numbers for a big business meeting about the show, and turns out a bunch of you actually do like to go back and listen to a bunch of episodes. We've seen it in a few of the reviews. People say they love to go back and binge it. Why we will always encourage that, because I think all of the conversations we have are very good.
You'll miss some key moments.
You miss very key moments, and you'll learn why we are the way we are.
You'll miss Hoffer's extreme emotional damage.
And so, tell your friends about the show. If you got people you play Pokemon with, or Pokemon Go with, or you go to a trading card game tournament every so often, tell them about the show. The more people who talk about the show and listen to the show, we love, and it just helps us keep doing what we do and provide for our adoring fan base and audience. We are anywhere podcasts can be found. So if you're new and you may have stumbled onto us from the website or somewhere else, iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, wherever podcasts can be found, hit that subscribe button and make sure you never miss an episode. Every so often we read reviews on the show, and if we read a review, your review, and it's 5 stars on iTunes, you get a free t-shirt. I just printed out a whole bunch of labels this week, and so now I got to go stick them in a bunch of envelopes to get them out to both Wild Podcast fans and obviously Comic Book Nation fans. So, if you love the show, head on over to iTunes, leave us a 5-star review. If you want to talk to us about any of our opinions about Pokemon, mainly Christian's bad ones, you can find him at Twitter at CHofferCBus.
I am livid right now. For the record, I have the best opinions about Pokemon. Megan is a very close second, and Jim is like somewhere in like the millionth, like worst opinions.
Wow.
Just for the record.
Well, if you would like to mediate between these two, I'm on Twitter at Megan Peters CB.
And you can tell me how great I am and how great my opinions are. Oh, that came off terribly.
Came out exactly right, and how wrong you are.
I am at Jim Viscardi. So we will see you at the same time, same place next Thursday. We'll catch you there. Talk to you later, folks.